NBC 10 Breaking News.
And we are following the breaking news on NBC 10 this morning as Mayor-elect Cherelle Parker announces her choice for Philadelphia's next police commissioner. Let's listen into the announcement now.
Close to that mayor. Tighten up if we can. Commissioner, Madam Speaker, and Ryan, if we could just tighten up.
We're waiting for Cherelle Parker to get her team situated here as she prepares to make.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I want to take this opportunity to thank each of you for being here on the eve of Thanksgiving. A moment in time when people across our nation gather to say thanks for a bountiful harvest. And I'm proud today that we feel like that is what the city of Philadelphia has acquired on today via this announcement. I want to take a moment to talk about the collaborative and inclusive process that led to this announcement. As I've said from this podium recently, we've been hard at work for quite a while, thinking through the kind of government and the kind of appointments we need to make for the citizens of Philadelphia. And some seem to think that we took the summer off, and nothing could have been further from the truth. Immediately after the May primary, we began collecting recommendations for potential commissioners from a litany of different stakeholders and people. And we actually started having informal meetings after spending a month and a half collecting names. We started in my backyard in July. Talking to candidates for commissioner from here in Philadelphia and across the country. Every candidate, I'm proud to say, had one thing in common, and that was they had experience here in our great city of Philadelphia. They knew our city, and I think they picked up what I was putting down. They wouldn't need a GPS to find 52nd Street. I talked to a lady by the name of Sharon Broom, who is a mayor from Baton Rouge. Shania Bennett from my team put us in contact, and she gave me some additional advice. She said the police commissioner, while he or she must have all of the credentials and experience that is necessary to do the job, that I shouldn't forget that chemistry was extremely important, and that was chemistry with the mayor, but chemistry with the men and women who make up the Philadelphia Police Department. And with all of this in mind, this morning I am proud to announce Philadelphia's next police commissioner. I want to commend and thank not only our senior transition leadership team and staff for all of their hard work in this process, but I also want to thank our subject matter experts, because after we finish that get to know you series of intro meetings in the backyard, Philadelphia, I knew that we needed to get the best and the brightest at the table to help convene that process. So to Ryan Boyer, to Della Clark, and to Greg Siegel, thank you so very much. To my team, led by Aaron Plants and Siri Harris, Tiffany Thurman, and to our talent staff, John Salveson and Beth Hare. Thank each and every one of you for adding value to this process. Now a word about our subject matter experts. I began with expertise coming from two former Philadelphia police commissioners, Charles Ramsey and Richard Ross. They conducted the interviews with every candidate that we considered. I was very intentional for these two commissioners have the experience and the technical capacity, quite frankly, to cut through BS and to help us develop the standards to measure what we call capability, competency, and yes, chemistry and readiness, the readiness of the next commissioner. As they interviewed each candidate, I also wanted another layer of observers to bring their insights and their perspectives to this process. For that, I want to say a special thank you to Congressman Dwight Evans, State Senator Vincent Hughes, State Representative Donna Bullock, and philanthropist Joe Neubauer, who all participated and were important, played an important role in that evaluation. I think I also saw the lady who allowed us to commandeer her West Mount Airy house for 2.5 weeks to host these meetings, Kimberly Turner Dixon, and if you are in the room, thank you, Kim. We greatly appreciate it. All of the candidates, you should know, were exceptional candidates, and they know who they are. I've spoken with all of them personally to thank them for their willingness to participate in the process, but at the end of this very thoughtful, careful, deliberative, and inclusive process, I strongly believe that we arrived at an exceptional candidate to lead the Philadelphia Police Department, the greatest police force in the United States. Yes, give that a round of applause. And we believe that our next commissioner will lead our department into a new day and a new era of public safety and community engagement. And with that in mind, I am proud to say that I have asked Kevin Bethel to serve as our police commissioner, and he has accepted the call. Now, we've got to, and we're going to hear from a few more people, a few more things that I've got to get on the record. The promise of safety comes from the ground up, and while the promise is simple, we're real clear that the lift is heavy, and we can't do it alone. I want you to know that over the last 24 hours, Kevin and I have been meeting with stakeholders who are committed to the success of our city. I want to tell you the groups of people we've met with. We've met with violence prevention and intervention community leaders, the faith-based community, health and human services providers, leaders in both Harrisburg and Washington, including the governor and legislators from both parties we've talked to, all members of City Council, our Council President currently, Darrell Clark, and the leader I'm looking forward to working with standing to my left. I'm intentional here as well, so thank you, Councilmember Johnson, for being here. The business community and organized labor. In these meetings, they saw that Philadelphia will have a police commissioner who is committed to adopting a holistic and comprehensive approach to public safety. Now, Philly, I made you a promise. I asked you on the campaign trail that if you would give me the opportunity to become your 100th mayor, I would be unapologetic about making sure that Philadelphia becomes the safest, cleanest, greenest big city in the nation with access to economic opportunity for all. That means that Kevin Bethel is going to be working beside me to make our city the safest in the nation. I want you to know, someone asked me, well, Cherelle, when did you know? When you start from where I start from in life and you don't have anything handed to you on a silver platter, and every place and station that you arrive at, you have to do so by being prepared and doing your homework. When Kevin Bethel came to the meeting, he was the most well-versed in the comprehensive neighborhood safety and community policing plan that I introduced during my tenure in City Council. And y'all, he had about a book of annotations and notes that needed to be added to the plan, and I was very much impressed. You know, the community policing, hiring more officers and addressing the personnel challenges, the quality of life issues, the victim and witness services, the community engagement and investment, the mental and behavioral health support, and that whole concept of PIE, prevention, intervention, and enforcement. I was also pleased when I found out, I was saying to Chairwoman Morgan Cephas, I don't know if she's here, the Philadelphia delegate, she here? I said to her yesterday, I said, hey, Morgan, he's a West Philly guy. And she said, sorta. All of this makes him exactly the right candidate to lead the men and women of the Philadelphia Police Department. And is Roosevelt Poplar here? Roosevelt, are you? Roosevelt, can you come up here, Roosevelt, please? When you heard us talking, Roosevelt, now, we're going to try to work this out. You got to stand close when I ask you to be close to me. Come over here, Roosevelt. We need to see you. Thank you. When you heard me talk about the stakeholders that we met with yesterday, I could not get to everyone. They are law enforcement agencies. When you hear me talk about an intergovernmental approach at the local, state, and the federal level, and I didn't know who to call, all of them, and so I called our new president of the FOP, Roosevelt Poplar, and I said, Roosevelt, will you help me? And he did. And I want you to know I'm grateful, but now I want us to hear. And I called Ryan Boyer when this happened. I came from a meeting with some law enforcement people, and I had never heard anyone refer to him this way. But I now want you all to hear from our former police commissioner, Charles Ramsey. I was talking to people outside of the city, and I said, oh yeah, Commissioner Ramsey, I'm going to call him. You know, he's one of ours. They called him the Pope of Policing. Give it up for our former commissioner, Charles Ramsey.
Thank you, Mayor. That's a hard act to follow. It's been a long time since I've been in this room, and it's good to be back and to see a lot of familiar faces. So thank you, Mayor, for all you've done in helping me along the way and certainly getting me involved in this process. The Mayor wanted me to just talk briefly about the process that we used. I received a call from her a while ago asking if I would be willing, along with former Commissioner Ross, to conduct interviews of candidates for the position of police commissioner here in Philadelphia, and I agreed to do that. And as a result of that, Rich and I worked together. We put together a series of questions that range from something as simple as, you know, why do you want to be Philadelphia's next police commissioner, to getting a handle on the kinds of issues facing the city at this particular point in time. What is their vision for the future? And then we got into more specific things like relationships between the department, district attorney, courts, the entire system itself, relationships with our collective bargaining units, FOP, civilian bargaining units, and so forth. And we even touched on Kensington. We touched on the problems that we face there that have gotten national attention, unfortunately, and how they would go about addressing those kinds of problems. Each candidate had the same set of questions, and we rated them based on their responses. There were certain keys and things that we were looking for in their responses, but then we took a look at their resumes. We wanted to know more about them, their backgrounds, education, previous assignments, things of that nature. And we used all that to make a final determination of what we call readiness. You know, Philly is not easy. You know, I mean, I can tell you from experience, Philly is not easy. And not everyone can handle Philly. And you can look good on paper. That doesn't always translate into your ability to be able to operationalize concepts, to be able to get people on board, form the kind of collaborations and partnerships that are necessary in order to make you effective. And so we took all these things into consideration, and we presented the mayor with 3 people who we thought were probably best suited, and she took it from there. So, you know, Kevin, I love you, but I didn't pick you. And the mayor did that. But that was the process. So let me just very quickly, just very briefly say something about my friend, Kevin Bethel. I met Kevin in 2008 when I took over as police commissioner in Philadelphia. In fact, the very first time I ever saw him, I was at the inaugural party for Michael Nutter, who was my boss during that period of time. And people coming up, because I'm new, I'm from another city, and people come up to try to meet you, and they're saying, you know, there's a guy walking around here that kind of looks like you. And so, you know, people say that, and you're like, oh, you know, okay, all right. And then I saw him, and it made me start wondering, you know, did my father ever come to Philadelphia? Did my thing, is there something going on here that I don't know nothing about? But the reason we became close, and he became really essentially my right arm in running the department to a large extent, was based on his abilities, his capabilities, had nothing to do with anything else other than that. And when I actually had a chance to see what he was about, he was captain of the 17th district, and I was going around to all the districts. And I went to the 17th, and that's when I really had a chance to see in action the kinds of things he was doing, the innovation that he was bringing forward, the juvenile enforcement team, and various other things that he was doing at that particular time. He caught my attention, and when it came time for me to really take a look and announce my senior command staff, and even though he was a captain, I promoted him to deputy commissioner. Wow. And I never, ever once regretted it. It's one of the best, if not the best decisions I made as police commissioner here in Philadelphia. Kevin is an exceptional individual. He is definitely driven, no question about that. Some of you reporters here know you used to catch me early in the morning coming into the roundhouse, and I'd be one of the first in and last out, but if there was a car and still in the parking lot, it would be his. And he'd be at the computer going over data and looking at where we are and where we need to go. And he's the one that came to me one day out of the blue and said, boss, can I talk to you? Yeah, sure. We're locking up too many kids. And I said, well, what are you talking about? And he read statistics about the number of children being arrested in schools, wow. Right? Which I was unaware. That's not something I had paid close attention to, although I should have. And I asked him, I said, okay, what do you plan to do? And that's when he came up with the idea around diversion and so forth, and gave him the ball, let him run with it. And now it's nationally recognized as a model in policing. So I'm going to stop now because you want to hear from the man here. And by the way, when I saw him today, he actually asked me to salute. I had to salute him. I had to, you know, I had to call him boss and all, you know. You know, it doesn't take long for people to change once they get there. Yeah, that's all I can say. But anyway, it's just great being here with you. I'll be around here for a moment, and let me turn it back over to our mayor.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Commissioner. Again, thank you, Commissioner Ramsey and Commissioner Ross, both of them, for helping lead us through this process. Listen, for this administration and for the citizens of Philadelphia, I believe that Kevin Bethel is our best choice for police commissioner, and I want you to join me in giving a huge round of applause and welcoming the next police commissioner for the city of Philadelphia. Please, please.
You know, here's the difficulties. Now you all see that Commissioner Ramsey has a sense of humor. When I first be made deputy, I walk in and I like to joke a little bit, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, can I joke a little bit? But long story, I'm at his house one day, and he treats me a little bit in a difficult way, and It was just a serious event. He treats me like all stoic, and you can't laugh, and I think I'd lost my job. But you would find the humor. It's hard to follow these two individuals here. First, I just want to thank the mayor. You know, I spent yesterday, it's an understatement when she says yesterday, it was absolutely one of the most amazing experiences of my life. I saw somebody operate in the space. I thought I was pretty good. I told her, I said, I think I go back and recharge my battery a little bit more. I mean, the mayor was just absolutely taught me so much yesterday. I thought I would go home tired. I went home with my mind racing, talking to my wife, and said, oh my God, she's absolutely amazing. And so I am just honored to be working in her administration. You know, when I listened to Commissioner Ramsey, there's nothing more humbling to be in this place, but nothing even more humbling to be recognized by a person who mentored you, who held your hand, who sat there many nights when I couldn't figure out what he was talking about. And I told him we would play this game. I would try to anticipate what his moves were and write them down. And 6 o'clock, he'd come in my office. I knew I was getting better. By the end of his career, I was doing pretty good. And it's because of his mentorship, and it's because of his support, and because of his belief in me is why I stand here today. I do want to acknowledge, you know, I see Commissioner Stanford behind you. It would be remiss not to recognize him in this room today. You know, me and John are friends. Let's make sure we get that clear. Me and John, when he mentored me, I mentored him. Wow. When he told me something, I told him. Wow. When John wanted to hear something, he came in my office. And so there's a reason why he stands there in that position today. He did a phenomenal job, very, very difficult period. I could not be more proud of him and his team behind him for the work they have done. And John is somebody who I have very much confidence in being part of my administration moving forward, and we'll talk about that at a later time. But let's just put that on the record. John is an absolutely good man. I'm going to move very quickly because I'll mention my mother, because I stand on the foundation of a mother who raised four boys by herself. And so Miss Odessa Bethel was in this room right now. Yeah. And I appreciate the foundation she provided for me. Now, my girls know when I talk about my mother, I start crying, but you say, you can't cry today, Dad, so I'm not going to cry, right? But I also have, you know, you don't get here by yourself, right? And so people know me, and they call me and my wife like the Obamas, right? You know, I have a phenomenal wife and 3 beautiful daughters. That's understand. For that crew, you know, when I take them in this position, you know, they come with me. You know, and they come with the challenges and the days when I was a deputy and I missed. You know, my big girl is over there and she does phenomenally well. And you know, I wasn't there oftentimes because of the work. And my baby to the right, y'all watch out for all of my girls. But this is my mini me here. So if she jumps in your face, that she came from me, right? But also recognizing my wife. She has been my champion for 30 years, always in my corner, always supported me, always making me. And when I made this decision, it wasn't Kevin Bethel's decision. It was Kevin Bethel, my wife, and my daughter's decision, and I'm so grateful for that. My pastor brother in the back, many of you know him, Pastor Keith Bethel. You know, I helped raise that young man, so everything he tells you is I created. But I do want to recognize my brother here. So let me begin by saying, you know, one of the things that I'm really excited about the work that I'm about to embark on, you know, is really working to bring back the fundamentals. You know, my boss used to say, you know, crime fighting is like blocking and tackling, right? And it's about fighting crime. You know, it's about keeping this city safe. Yeah, let's say that, right? It's okay to say that. Yes. They're keeping the city safe. You know, I'm a proud Philly cop. I'm proud to be a cop. But we're not your enemy. We're here to serve. We have our issues, and we can address them. But the men and women that I see back there, and many of them in the room I know personally, we're here to serve. And I ask you to give us the opportunity to do that, the opportunity to serve you in this space, right? Give us the opportunity to be what you want us to be. Raise your voices when it needs to be raised. But let us be a part of the community. Let us work with you in that work. You know, I tell people, they say, how do you get here? For many of you, I spent the last 4 years in the school district. You know, I often tell people, I've been in policing for a long time now, not as long as this guy back here, you know what I mean, but a long time. And very often do you get to step away and then step back in. You know, that stepping away took me down a road of an experience that informs me more today than ever. You know, I walk into a school district, and I used to tell people, and I told the mayor, we used to talk about fear of crime. You know, what is the fear? We talk about them in our orals, the fear of crime. But then I lived in it. I lived in where kids are being shot in front of my schools. I never thought I would take a job where a kid would get killed at the doorstep of a school. And understanding the impact that gun violence has on our communities, on our children, on our families, and our teachers, and all the community. That represents all of it. You know, so part of what I come back into this space is somebody who has this very much awareness of the impact our service has and the work that men and women can do that, but also having this very understanding of this is a expansive process, a balanced approach. I can sit here and tell you I ain't gonna lock up a 10-year-old child for coming into schools with a pair of scissors. But I also could tell you that I'm gonna lock up somebody who comes in the store and robs somebody with a gun. I am gonna talk about locking up somebody who sits there and kills people on our streets. We are gonna talk about that. I'm going to talk about my mother-in-law who's scared to come out of her door. You know, my mother-in-law has been in her home for 50 years, but scared to come out of her door. Why can she not sit on her step? You know, and so we have a job to do as part of policing. Our job is to enforce the law. The mayor talks about PI, prevention, intervention, and enforcement. It all works together. I'm a clear example of working in an organization where we did all of it. Not just do this, do a little bit of that, working collectively together to make this work. And so part of I also was excited about the work that the mayor set us on this course is having this very much an intergovernmental approach. You know, I look up here, I got so many friends up in this room because I thought I knew intergovernmental work until I met the work yesterday. I'm like, oh no, I just nipped on the edges. I wasn't biting and eating at all. But I have so many friends up here because I've always believed in the approach. When Peace Not Guns with my friend here before he rose to this place, and I see Jordan here and others as well, is that we need to work together. I'm a data-driven individual, and the boss knows that. Data tells us the when, the where, the why, and the how of where we should put our men and women, right? So if I sit there and tell you that most of our juveniles are shot in 5 zip codes, then we should use that data to direct our efforts into that space. Right, if I tell you that my kids live in 18 zip codes and most of my kids are shot 2.5 hours after school, within 2 hours of school, 2 miles of school, then we should focus our efforts in those places. And so I look forward to working with everyone in that work. And a prime example of our work and necessary to deal with crisis is really when we look at the Kensington corridor. You know, from the time I walked in the door with the mayor, she set my charge, right? Kev, what are you going to do about Kensington? You know, I knew going into the space. But also, before the mayor even brought me into that, I knew the issues. Now, I tell you, I'm in a school district, and I have a school, Conwell Middle School, that sits at Clearfield and Kensington, Principal Green, and across the street from is Principal Garcia, Willard. And I can't tell you how difficult it is to see that strong principal who runs a school where they used to have 800 kids in it, have 125 in it now. I can't tell you how unacceptable it is that I have a school now where I have bulletproof blankets on the windows because someone shot through the glass. I understand the issues of addiction. I understand the need to have this holistic approach, but I will not accept the fact that we allow our kids to be so traumatized, we allow our community to be so devalued, we allow ourselves to get into a place where we don't care about the community. The community has told us what they want. I've sat in those meetings and I've listened to what they have said. I've listened to the conversations with the council members here who have talked about the work and what they have done. Our responsibility and our duty is listen to our charge and our responsibility comes from the community. Our power comes from the community. And when they ask us and they're telling us stuff, it is our duty to respond. And so I look forward to building the task force, and I know Commissioner Stanford has started to put some things together and build upon what the police department has already started to engage, to have a very comprehensive, intergovernmental, working with the community, working with the council people, working with our governmental entities, working with our state people, working with our federal individuals to make a difference for that community as we move forward. So I'll end with this. Let me be clear that the challenges our city faces are significant, but they are solvable. I'll say that again. Let me be clear. The challenges that our city faces are significant, but they are solvable. The experience has taught me that the right strategy, the right tactics, and the solid solutions will deliver a safe city and will make our police department the best police department in the nation. That is our goal, to be the safest city in the United States of America and be the best police department in the United States of America. And we do that with all of you and you representing the community, all of it working together for that charge. I thank you. I thank you again, Mayor, for this immense opportunity, and I will not fail you. That is my charge.
And there you have it, the next police commissioner of the city of Philadelphia, Kevin Bethel, a very well-known cop in this community, of many civil servants that you see surrounding him there at that press conference. And once again, the 100th mayor of the city of Philadelphia, the first black female to hold that office, Cherelle Parker, has named Kevin Bethel as the next police commissioner of the fourth largest police department in this country. Bethel currently serving as the chief of school safety for the Philadelphia School District. NBC 10's Rosemary Connors, she is at City Hall right now gathering much more information on this storied police officer, and she's going to have much more on today's announcement coming up on NBC 10 News at 11 a.m. I'm Lucy Bustamante. Stick with us for another 20 minutes. The 11 o'clock newscast begins in just a little while. Now back to your regular programming.